Welcome to the magnificent African bush. What a way to start the morning, but with a male leopard silhouetted in a tree. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, my name is Brent Smith. I have the incredible VM on camera, and we are right next to a male leopard eating his Impala kill in the pre-dawn brilliance. So let's have a look. Look at that, isn't that absolutely stunning? The sun hasn't even popped over the eastern horizon, and young Sindile is up in the tree and feasting. We had magnificent shots of him yesterday with the sun setting, and now we're starting our morning with a leopard sunrise. And we can hear lions roaring in the distance, and Steph and Herbie are out looking for them. Remember, this is live. We're seeing this at the exact same time as you. Now, if you want to ask me questions about this leopard, you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send me an email, questions@WildEarthTV. Now the sun's going to be popping up in the next little bit, and we're going to be right here next to this leopard. So get your screenshot fingers ready, and it's going to be absolutely stunning. And remember to share your screenshots with us on Twitter using the hashtag Safari Live, or pop them on our Facebook page. And of course, there are many groups run by our avid Safari Live fans, and I'm sure they would love you to share your screenshots there as well. There's a very noisy fork-tailed drongo behind us who's complaining at mouthful of hair. So at the moment he's busy plucking by the looks of things. Get the hair out of the way. Ramo would like to know, what is he eating? He's eating a yearling Impala ram. Look at that. So he's eaten more than half of it. I would say he made this kill not last night, but the night before. And we haven't seen him in quite some time, so it's really great to catch up with this leopard. And I'm sure all of you can notice the collar. Now that has been put there by scientists. He's had the most interesting year, young Sindile, after catching a dog that tested positive for rabies. He was taken into quarantine. He's now back in the bush, living wild and free. Isn't that incredible? So he's plucking the hair so he can get to the nice, nutritious meat. So he's eaten all the high-value parts already, the lung, the liver, the liver's the heart, kidneys, and now he's on to what looks like the rump. Not the rump, the forequarters. Already eaten the rump. Now the leg dangling is what was attached to the rump. And you can see that's a back leg. You can see the metal tarsal gland on the back of that Impala's foot there. Sleepy One would like to know, is this Sindile, the famous quarantined leopard, the myth, the legend? Indeed it is, and he is in the flesh right next to us. Now, I hope your screenshot fingers are ready, because I'm going to ask VM to come wide, and we're going to start seeing that magnificent leopard sunrise. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Oh. Now, this is not the most ideal tree, but I think it was the most conveniently close tree. And so far, no hyenas are around, so he's having quite a good time. Hasn't been put under pressure. And he's probably going to eat a bit faster than a dominant male leopard or a dominant female would, just because he's about 2 years old, so he's trying to avoid any confrontation. So if Tingana, who's the dominant male leopard, came here, he would have to skedaddle. So he's going to try and eat as much as possible. Oh, what did he drop? He dropped something there. We'll have a look just now. So we're going to sit here, spend the sunrise with young Sindile before we move on, see what other wonders are on Djuma. While we do that, let's go say good morning to Steph.
Good morning to all of you out there. And yes, it is a wonderful morning this morning. Not too chilly, about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, not too warm at either. Brilliant sunrise. And you know what? We've been with a male lion for the last 20 minutes, going through some pretty thick bush on the Mulwati, and we lost him in this elephant holocaust that is this block over here. Every single tree we were at was knocked down. This male lion just weaved his ways and left Brian and I for dust. And so now we have to go around to Central and see if we can pick him up on that side of the road. He's been quite vocal this morning. In actual fact, all the lions have been quite vocal the entire night. One of the benefits of having lions camping out at the pan near where your room is that you get to enjoy them the whole night. And that is exactly what's been happening. Just constant roaring, shaking the very windows in your room almost. Anyway, not to worry, we will either find him or we won't. All right. And on that note, and while we cross over here and pick up some speed, and there we go, just to say good morning to you, is the thumb. Enjoy Sindile, we'll have some news for you in a bit.
We're still sitting with young Sindile. The sun is coming up quite quickly. So there we go, look at that. You can see that gorgeous pre-dawn light with a wonderful silhouette of a male leopard. Oh, a bit of hair there on. He's got a bone as well. Crunch, crunch. So the smaller bones, a leopard will crunch through to get to the nutrient-rich marrow. The bigger bones, however, he won't feed off. He'll let them fall to the floor. I think he's been lucky. I think the hyenas have been kept at bay by all the lion activity that's been happening. A lot of that lion activity has been happening very close to here. Now, Dan would like to know, do leopards always eat their kills in a tree? Now, Dan is a new viewer, so welcome to Safari Live, Dan. Quite often they do. It's not always. Sometimes they will feed on the ground. But if there are other predators around, they prefer to put their kills in the tree to protect them from hyenas, lions. And it's one of the special adaptations leopards have developed to avoid competition with other predators that are bigger and stronger. Now, Michael would like to know, is the hoisting of a kill a learnt behavior or an instinctual behavior? I'd say it's an instinctual behavior. Leopards know they can climb from tiny little cubs. So I think it's an instinctual behavior developed over many millennia. Morning, Susan in Georgia. Susan says, what would stop another big cat from climbing up a tree and stealing the leopard's kill? Well, size, firstly, Susan. Although this is, as I said, not the most ideal tree. I think a lioness would get up there. Not very elegantly, but she would get up there. Here we go, look at that. The sun's about to pop up. But it's mostly size. They're too heavy and not as nimble. Now, they've evolved to catch bigger prey, whilst the leopards evolved as a solitary animal. So being able to cache food makes more sense, but if you live in a big family group, it's far better to gulp it down as fast as possible. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Okay, the sun is just popping up over the horizon. Oh, looks like he's going to try and move the carcass into a place where it might be a bit easier to feed. Well, that's not very nice of you. It is not an ideal tree. He does not look comfortable at all. So now we've got the rear view, and look, there we go. Look at that wonderful tail. I should have moved forward a bit. Now, of course, young Sindile has moved. Oh, at the very moment I was waiting for that sun to pop up for the perfect silhouette. How's that, Vim? So we will move around to the other side of him once the sun's up. Look at that. It always amazes me how leopards can just perch in sometimes the most inconvenient of spots. And if we look at how his back leg is sitting, that can't be comfortable. Okay, let's move around. Now, this is the way to start your day. Hey Vim, another tough day in the office for all of us here on Safari Live. Don't know how we do it every day. You okay, Vim? Okay. Let's get into spot now. And you're going to see that gorgeous morning light coming through onto his face. How's that, Vim? That'll work. Every time he looks up, I half expect to see a Birmingham boy marching in. Aratus Fox would like to know, at what age will this young male leopard, Sindile, start staking out his own territory? Is it possible he might take a piece of Mvula's territory? Well, he's a long way away from looking for territory yet. He's probably got a good another 3 to 4 years before he's going to be big enough and strong enough to compete with an adult male leopard. And it's very unlikely he's going to stake territory in this area. Not impossible, but just very unlikely. At the moment, the male leopards around here, we're quite thick with male leopards. So we've got Tingana. Mvula is still hanging around, but he doesn't really hold territory at the moment. And then, of course, there's the ghost from the north, Djuma, and Anderson to the west, and Shavambalan in quarantine to the east. So I think he's probably going to move away from his natal area the moment he keeps coming back, because he feels a little bit more safe here. It's a sort of known area, but I don't think he will set up territory around here. And as I said, there's quite a few years before he's going to be able to. Look at that, he's heard something. Oh, nothing that important. He might have heard the lions. They're down towards Gallagher Camp. Are we going to keep sitting here with the gorgeous young Sindile in his precarious perch? While we do that, let's go see how Steph's hunt for the lions is going.
Well, it's taken us a little bit longer to get to where we thought this lion came out. He's definitely not walking and changed direction from the east that he was walking into. And now what we're doing is we're just sort of combing this drainage line on the right hand side here to see if we can't see him walking on a game path or something. He hasn't roared again. He roared 2 or 3 times in the first couple of minutes of us seeing him, and has remained silent since then. But when we did find him this morning, he was intently listening to the east. So something's happening. Either one of his brothers is calling for some help, or some other male lions are encroaching on the territory and he's gone to go and investigate. Entirely possible. He's been, and they've been around Vuyatela for the last, I don't know, week or so, 5 days or 6 days or so. And it wouldn't be surprising if the further reaches of their territory are being encroached upon by other male lions. So my hope is that he comes out on Buffalo's cut line and gives us a look at him before he goes off into the north. And I have a suspicion that he is inside this block here somewhere where the sun is shining off to this area, somewhere here now. The only way we're going to know that is by hearing him. This block singularly is one of the best blocks in the whole of Djuma to walk around in, and it's precisely because you cannot get a car in there that I love going in there. Lots and lots of thickets of trees that the elephant have pushed down, creating barriers everywhere. And it just and it's quite a big block as well, pretty much stretching from here all the way to Buffelshoek Dam, which is probably 3 miles from here, roundabout, with only a single road through there, Hyena Road, which you can only use, which you can only really use in the dry season. Gee whiz. I'm battling a little bit to hear you, Louise. You're going to have to speak a bit louder, or something's happened to my microphone and it's gone soft. Annie, good morning, Annie, and please excuse me for going a bit silent there. I just needed to shove this earpiece into the center of my head so that I could hear it. Annie, all the way from British Columbia, good morning to you. You've asked, you know that cats have scent glands in their faces and you see them rubbing it on trees and on each other. Do they have scent glands anywhere else? They absolutely do, Annie. They've got scent glands in their feet. They've got scent glands in their faces and in their manes. Their skins themselves are covered in not as many glands as we've got one of the highest sweat glands per centimeter, or whatever you want to call it, out of the animal kingdom. But they've got a lot of these sebaceous glands on their skin, and they use it to rub against one another and to reaffirm bonds with one another. So they rub each other's scent around one another. And a scientist the other day was telling me that cats definitely will smell one another from the same pride and from different prides. However, cats, especially the larger predatory cats, are much more prone to just attacking someone that they can't smell first. How's that for an interesting piece of information? Now I'm expecting this lion to come out exactly where we are now. There's this enormous game path that comes out just here, and I'm hoping that he is walking on this game path somewhere. What we are going to do is, on the crest here, we are going to stop and switch off the car, and we're going to listen and hear if we can hear him roaring. And hopefully he roars enough that we can find him again. But while we stand by here and pitch our ears into the bush, we're going to send you back over to Brent, who's got that beautiful Sindile.
So he's still in the same spot in that very precarious perch, munching away. Now, isn't this the way every day should start? With a leopard in a tree? What do you think, Fem? Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Oh, look at him repositioning. Birdie in Georgia says she's surprised that no vultures came to the kill. That would have been fun to see. Indeed it would have, Birdie. I think that would have been absolutely magnificent. He did keep such a good close eye on it though, so maybe a vulture appeared while we weren't here and he saw it off. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Now, Birdie, strange you should mention that. There's a bird of prey. But it's not a vulture. You see him there? There he goes. It's an African harrier hawk flying east into the rising sun. I thought, Birdie, your prediction had come true, and I thought, sure, that's an early morning vulture, but alas, just a harrier hawk. Nemophilist would like to know what kind of tree is Sindile precariously perched in at the moment. It is a red bush willow, Combretum apiculatum, and not the biggest tree and not the most ideal tree to put a kill in, but he seems to be faring quite well, apart from the occasional near drop of his carcass. Now, Shannon in Ohio is wondering if Shadow has lost her current cub, would she try find young Sindile? I probably don't think so. I think as he's been away from her for a bit too long, so I think she would probably behave aggressively towards him like we saw her do a couple of months ago. Now, I mean, if we think about it, oh, and I mean, if we think about it, he has been away from her for probably close on a year now, so I think it's unlikely that she would show any sort of maternal affection towards him. As I said on yesterday's Sunset Safari, I don't think there's going to be much left by this evening. Now, Toxigenics is wondering if we've ever considered using drones to help find animals. We have, and there are some very interesting things in development, and that's about all I can say for now. If you go look at our Facebook page, you might come down the tree right towards us. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at those eyes. he comes. Hello, little horror. Off he goes. Where's he, Vim? Right behind us. So you can see how close he is behind Vim. Vim's backrest is blocking the view of him. Do you cameraman really need a backrest, Vim? Of course, but it's ruining the shot. It's an invisible leopard. Okay, he's coming back out. There we go. He's going to go see what he dropped under the tree. He did drop a particularly large piece, but I think it was mostly bone. Waste not, want not. Looking very chuffed with himself. Now, if there had been hyenas around, he's going to stash it right next to Fanuti there. Fan, you better be careful, otherwise your leg will be next. Oops, he got a bit of a fright from the car. Tack's just moving a bit further away from him, so he's a bit more comfortable. There we go. Okay, so we're going to leave young Sindile now and go see what other wonders are out in the African bush. I'm going to give some other people a chance to come in. What a fantastic way to start the morning with a leopard silhouetted by the sunrise. So while we do that, let's go across and see how Steph's hunt for the lions is going.
He's roaring. Excuse me not talking right now, but we've got a male lion that is roaring from much further west of where we are now. We're just waiting on this particular road to see if this male lion comes out, and let's see if he answers that roar. I'm hoping that he will. Either that or Brian and I have just gotten so directionless at the moment. We're waiting in completely the wrong way. I doubt it. We are standing almost exactly where he was walking towards, and then using the landmarks that we have. So he hasn't replied, this particular male lion. Now lions, they have this annoying ability to walk in at 90-degree angles to one another. Or not to one another. They have this annoying ability to walk in 90-degree jinks. So they'll walk a little bit and then they'll completely change direction and walk a little bit and then completely change direction and walk again, and almost walk these funny triangle shapes, really. And I'm doubting highly that this particular male did that. He's either crossed over where we're standing by now, did take us a little bit of time to get here, or he is lying up in the bush somewhere close to us, trying to nurse his sore paw and listening to the roaring around him. That particular roar that we've just heard now from far away, that comes from, if I were to guess, somewhere probably Arathusa maybe, on the other side, little Hoffman's maybe on the other side of our boundary. Just still listening. That's all we're trying to do at the moment. I'm going to give it a few more minutes here, and then Brian and I will troll this road just to make sure that he has or hasn't crossed, and then we'll go look for something else. Jason, you've asked if we have any clue as to why the female chased off the Birmingham boy yesterday. I wasn't in the sighting, Jason, and although we discussed it briefly around the dinner table last night, there wasn't really any conclusion. It was just, Brent just said that it was a fight. It looked like the male perhaps got a little bit close to the female with her cubs and she saw him off. There has been this sort of brewing tension amongst the lions, even for the last couple of days. There's been this, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's just tension that's been brewing between the lions and the lioness. A couple of days ago, Brian and I witnessed the male lion dominating the female in a show of aggression when she came up behind him and the cubs were between him and her, and it looked like she was trying to initially just chase him off, and then he turned around and he attacked her. We had that interaction a couple of days ago, and then the tables were completely turned yesterday where she attacked him and left him a bit bloodied and scratched up. So who knows, who knows exactly what's happening in these cats' lives. They react a lot to hormonal changes and to pheromone changes in their own bodies. And you might find that there's a female in that group that's perhaps coming into or coming out of estrus or a cycle of some sort. There's males in attendance and he's creating this tension, he's creating this pressure with these females. Generally speaking, in the Kruger National Park at least anyway, male lions are not always with female lions. They have to really walk a lot of their territory because it's not open grassland here. It's not these wide open plains that a male lion can literally just stand up in and be seen and be heard. Here male lions have to walk their territory, have to continually stake their claim on their territories. And so when male lions are with the females as often as what these Birmingham boys or this Birmingham boy has been with these particular females, there's this frustration and this tension that builds up. And if I were to put any sort of generalization on it, that would be my take on it, at least. It could be something completely different, but it's just the frustration that I'm busy seeing on that. So I hope that answered your question there, Jason. I'm not too sure exactly what is going on. Brian, what do you think? We've got a bunch of Impala here now, which is good. So we've got a herd of Impala that's now moved onto this open area here, and they are going to act as our sentries here. I think we're going to carry on going down this road. Why are you running? Wow, there's a lot of a massive herd of Impala. Ramo, you've just asked me if lions contact any types of diseases. They absolutely do. They are subject to a number of diseases, some of which are even have made headlines in recent times. There's a story of this feline AIDS, or the immune deficiency virus. They have tuberculosis, a type of feline tuberculosis that they can get. They suffer from uncountable different types of parasites and bacterial infections that they can get, even to a point where their bodies turn on them and they get chronic septicemia. There's a list of a bunch of different things there. Out of the top of my mind, I don't remember all of them, but the ones that are mostly talked about is this feline AIDS, or type of immunodeficiency syndrome, and then tuberculosis are the two that are occupying the top spot at the moment in terms of the public eye. All right, I think what we're going to do is let's leave those Impala to act as a sentry for us. Let's carry on in this direction then. This male lion's not roaring anymore, so he's either gone down to bed or he's walking it off. And let's see if we can either find tracks of this male crossing this particular road, just to confirm our suspicions, or perhaps pick him up sleeping next to the road. All right, now Brent has left Sindile so that a few other vehicles can come in and have a look at him. And I'm sure he wants to give you an update about what his next plan is, so we're going to send you over to Brent for an update.
So while we were sitting with young Sindile, I heard some elephants towards Sydney's waterhole, and with this glorious morning light, I'm hoping that they're still there and kicking up some dust. So today, from a photography day, we're going to do something different. So, of course, we often sit there with our big lenses and we go in tight. Today is a wide angle day, so I'm not going to put my big lens on. I'm only going to keep my wide on, and let's see how that goes. So I challenge all of you out there. Of course, VM is going to zoom, but also we're going to try to keep some wide shots, change it up a little bit. Ellie was around here. It was a big trumpet. Sounded like a nice herd. But they might have been to the north of the Buffalo's Hook cut line. Where are you, elephants? So there we go. I was hoping there might be some Ellies out in the open here, but nothing. So I'm going to keep moving. Hello, Anna. Anna's in Atlanta. Oh, 1 second, Anna. Copy, thanks, Tux. I was looking for them. I'm coming from Buffalo's Hook cut line. So there we go. Those elephants were a little bit further to the west of us. So Tuxon has bumped into them. So let's go have a look. So Anna was wondering if an animal loses an eye or a sense of smell or any other senses, will they either develop or their other senses become stronger, or will they perish at a younger age? Well, it completely depends, Anna. There's many a leopard and lion and hyena that has survived well on one eye, including Queen Karula's mother, the great Safari. She had one eye for a long period of her life, and I've seen quite a lot of hyenas with one eye, and they seem to do okay. Now, I would say if you're an antelope, losing an eye or whatnot would definitely cause you to possibly expire at a younger age, and very sad. Lord Nelson, who was a one-eyed, one-horned impala with one ambition, seems to have vanished, so I think he might have expired. So he lost his eye during the rutting season, fighting with other impala. There's Ellies around here somewhere. Now, while we try and catch up with the elephants, Steph's got a magnificent pair of avian predators to show you.
We definitely do have a magnificent pair of avian predators. They are my favorite eagles, a pair of African hawk eagle that you're having a look at there. Just busy enjoying the morning sunlight and sunrise, waiting for a few thermals to generate before they soar off and start their hunting for the day. Absolute terror to ground squirrels and francolin. This is what these birds specialize in. Up to the size of guinea fowl, but it is bizarre that even tiny little birds like waxbill and southern black tit, etc., chinspot batis, really react negatively to these birds, scurrying into the undergrowth, issuing their alarm calls. These birds generate terror like nothing I've ever seen. They do hunt cooperatively, and by that I mean one bird will fly high and in front, and another bird will fly low and slightly behind. And as the bird high up gathers attention and start to scurry around, the bird that is flying lower then bursts into the fray and picks up any stragglers that are a little bit too slow to get going in the morning, or to get going out of the way. Really beautiful picture that, to this aching blue sky behind them. So Lucy, all the way from South Bend in Indiana, good morning. You wanted to know how the squirrel is doing that I adopted. I'm fine, thank you very much, Lucy. I got an update on what he did yesterday. He was left alone for the day while my wife was out, and when she got back, she had brought him with a packet of pecan nuts, which he first refused to eat because he'd been left alone the whole day, and then tucked into eating two and then hiding the rest of the packet away, who knows where in my house, to be found in the following days and weeks as we unpack whatever clothes that we're trying to wear or whatever bag. They have this hoarding ability like I've never seen before, and it's quite cute. They scratch open with their feet this way, their front feet, and then they push back whatever they've used to cover with both their feet in this fashion. They don't dig a hole and then push it. They scrape open and push closed. It's just an observation about southern tree squirrels that I've made while having one living in my house. All right. Robin, you've asked a good question about why is this bird have hawk in its name. Is it a hawk or is it an eagle? It's actually a true eagle, Robin. It's just called a hawk eagle because of its fashion of flying. They're not that big. They one of the smaller eagles, if not the smallest eagle. I would say that a Wahlberg's eagle is perhaps a little bit bigger, maybe around about the same size, but anyway, back to the point. So they got a very hawk-like appearance, being quite thin and skinny, as you can see there. And then their manner of flying is very hawk-like, this fast flitting between trees, not high soaring that they have. So it's an eagle, a true eagle, but with hawk-like appearance. And that's where they get their name, hawk eagle, from. What might be interesting is, let me have a look here in my bird book about what they say about its African hawk eagle, Aquila spilogaster, plate 71. Aquila is definitely eagle. Let's see here. Let's go to plate 71. Almost there. I'll be with you now. African eagle. Spilogaster means spotted underside.
We have Ellies all around us. Absolutely magnificent. I think, will today be another day like yesterday? The day that just keeps on giving. You just hear all the trees being obliterated. Look at that. Now, there we go. Hello. We have viewers from all over the world, and today, in particular, we have two viewers sitting in Sydney who named Ashley and Justin. Well, hello, Ashley and Justin, and that is from your family who are staying at Djuma, who was sharing that leopard sighting with us a little while ago. They just asked if we could say hello to you, so hi. And they said you were watching, and they messaged to say, well, while you're watching on your TV, we're watching and listening to Brent, who is parked right next to him. Oh, there goes a tree. In the light. VM's going to try. There we go. Oh, and there it goes. Looks like a little knob thorn. Let's just try and move a little bit so the light's a little bit less harsh for them. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Let's try forward. How's that one there? There we go. Just love listening to the sounds that a herd of elephants make. And it's not only the breaking of branches and crunching away, it's the scrape of the skin against the thorns. Just so many different noises. Kicking up and digging with their feet. You can even hear them breathing. There's a little one profiting on the hard work Mom has done. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? I love all the dust. Hello, little boy. Sounds like quite a big herd. I think we're just on the edge. There's quite a few more ahead of us. Hello. That's another lovely big adult elephant cow. Now, Birdie is wondering, how quickly will the trees recover from this elephant feeding destruction? Oh. Mom's busy on the trees today. That's the second one she's nearly pushed over. Well, she's pushed over one. Now, oh, here we go. No, digging again. Birdie, see, I don't consider it destruction. I mean, it's natural behavior from elephants, and it's very important for the bush that they do bash and crash and push things down. And it's very good for turning over nutrients in the soil, and you'd be amazed. A little bit of rain, and it recovers incredibly quickly. Now, we've had a very wet 10 years, so there's a lot of young trees that are actually clogging up the open areas, and now with this drought, it's forcing the elephants to feed on them, and it's actually quite good for the bush that they open it up, make more space for grass to grow. Now, elephants are what we call a keystone species, capable of changing the environment around them, and you can see places that don't have elephants. You get complete clogged thickets of acacia or Dicrostachys that is almost impenetrable to other animals. The elephants are very, very important in maintaining the ecosystem. They're nature's gardeners, pruning, plucking, pushing, digging. Now, them just quickly, right next to us on the ground for the bird watchers. Oh, it's disappearing in there. There you go. There it is. Good morning, rattling cisticular. Being quiet for once. Well, while the cisticular disappears away, we're going to sit with these elephants a bit longer, but Steph's got an incredible antelope to show you.
All rightly, we had an incredible antelope to show you. She has just disappeared into the bushes here, and I'm hoping that she sticks her beautiful face out of this particular bush and lets us see where she is. It's so thick I can't even see a shadow of this particular bird. But there you go, come on, let's go forward a bit more. We'll just show it. Looks like she's changed direction. We'll be with you in 1 second. Here she is. Gonna stick out her little face. Just an eyeball. It's a kudu that's standing inside there. Here she comes. There you go. A greater kudu is what we're having a look at there. A female greater kudu. And definitely showing us why they get their nickname, the grey ghosts of the bush. And she is busy nibbling. Oh, there's many kudus actually. Who would have thought? I must be honest, they have to be some of the most graceful antelope that we have out here, and also some of the most majestic. The other day I was asked, what is the best? Well, what are my favorite antelope? And I had to say it was a tie between an oryx, a sable, and a greater kudu male. A three-way tie between the males of all of those particular species. They hold, for me at least, the top spot in terms of most magnificent. And there they go, off into the distance. Alright, and once leaving these ghosts to fade into the bush, and we're going to send you back to Brent with those fantastic elephants.
Vam and I are just sitting here quietly enjoying our morning with elephants. Now we're with the young bull, who's got really magnificent, I think they're quite magnificent, up-curving tusks. They're not very big, they've just got a lovely shape to them. Now, remember I was talking about how the Ellies are going to open up some of these impenetrable thickets of young trees. So one of the reasons I moved was not only to look at that beautiful little bull, but you can see this impenetrable thicket of young acacias. Now, if you look deep into it, the Ellies are inside it, opening it up. But we're going to, here we go, let me just move a little bit forward for them. And you can see those lovely, how's that, Vam? Those lovely tusks, as I was talking about the shape, beautiful curve on them. Six String, a new viewer, a huge welcome to Safari Live. And Six String says, wow, that elephant is eating the tree. Indeed they are. That's what they do. So one quite interesting thing about elephant feeding behavior is that during the summer months, when it's not a drought, they normally will eat about 80% of their diet will consist of grass. But during the winter months, that changes and 80% will consist of trees and bushes. This year we've had a drought, so it's probably a bit skewed towards trees and bushes. But those Ellies are moving off into the thickets now, so we're going to do the same, see what else we can find. Now, William in Oregon is asking, what is an elephant's peripheral vision like? It's okay. It's not terrible. It's not wonderful. They do actually have a lot better vision than people often give them credit for. And just checking through. No. Let's keep moving. So I think while Steph and Herbie are searching for those lions, I think Veerm and I are on a leopard mission today. So we're going to meander our way down south, and fingers crossed that Queen Karula was going to make an appearance before Veerm and I go on holiday. So Veerm and I will both be going on leave tomorrow. And we're planning an expedition up to the far-flung northern reaches of the Limpopo province, to an area on the far eastern side of the Soutpansberg Mountains. Very little known area, very good birding, and we're hoping some good animals and some good tiger fishing as well. Okay, so what we're going to do, as I said, we're on a leopard mission. So we're going to go down Impala Plains, check to Impala Plains, check around Zoe's, check around the Balanites tree. If we get no tracks there, head further south, get onto our southern boundary, and make our way east from there. And I'm hoping that we're going to find tracks of either Shadow or Karula while we do that. So while we go check for leopard tracks, let's go see what Steph is up to.
Hello, hello. We are just trawling down central at the moment. I'm not 100% convinced. Actually, let me rephrase it. I'm 100% convinced that this lion is in Buffelshoek. I'm doubting myself. And so what I want to do is just check exactly where we lost this male lion. As I mentioned a bit earlier, these lions have this... When you're tracking these male lions, when you learn how to track male lions, you always got to take into account the fact that they jink at these 90-degree angles. And maybe, just maybe, he's come out of this block. This is where we lost him, in this holocaust of a thicket. We couldn't drive through here anymore, not without either growing wings, replacing myself with Brent Leo Smith, or allowing some hovering capacity in this car to all of a sudden develop. And so we think he's come in this direction, but sometimes they join a road like this and then they just walk along the length of the road. I doubt that, because when we found him this morning, he was just totally focused into the north, just completely 100% focused. And he was roaring a couple of times, and then, as my luck would have it, as soon as we went live, we lost visual of him, as so often happens with me. Nevertheless, I've now come down central just for that nagging 1 or 2% chance that he may be lying next to the road, and then we'll carry on and we'll go look for something else. Maybe the rest of the pride, actually. That's probably a good enough idea around Galago. Birdie, all the way from Georgia. Good morning, Birdie. You've just said you're just amazed at how animals can sort of blend into their surroundings, and all the different animals, you know, from elephant to giraffe. You mentioned about keystone species and all that sort of thing. You're 100% right, Birdie. There's just, it doesn't matter what type of animal you're looking at over here. Even a zebra, who has this most dazzling coat of black and white, seems to just lose themselves in the background here. They make it incredibly difficult to see, in actual fact. You know, I just find it incredible that they, just having a look there for tracks, that they move through like they do. You know, you one moment, I mean, we were just with those kudu. One moment you're looking at a bush, the next moment you're seeing 3 or 4 different animals, each weighing in excess of 200 pounds, and they were just hiding behind that bush. So it is quite amazing. And there's no leaves on these trees at the moment. No leaves, no grass. Alright, so I can confirm that this male lion hasn't walked down this road. As I'm busy speaking to you, every now and again I'm looking at the road at places where we can most likely find tracks, and he hasn't come out. So he's either sleeping inside here or he's moved across, which is the more likely of the two. Yet to be confirmed or concluded yet. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Good morning, Dawn. You just paid me a compliment. You said I'm quite knowledgeable. Thank you. However, I don't feel that some days. Some days I feel completely idiotic out here. And then you asked, how long have I been a guide for? I started guiding in 1999, Dawn. Was when I became a professional field guide with a bit of training before that. I spent probably about 6 months or so training to become a guide. I started at a place called Sabi Sabi, which is just a little bit further south to where we are now, probably about 40 miles or so, in the same game reserve. And been doing it pretty much ever since. What I was born to do, I was lucky enough to find it at a young age. And all by happenstance, really. It was just a trick of fortune, my luck, that I managed to find it so early on. And from the feel of things, I'll probably be in this industry for some time yet. Alrighty, now we are on Nyala Road South, where yesterday afternoon there were around about 60 or 70 elephants that were moving through here. Not a whisper of an elephant right now. I want to go and have a look at Buffelshoek Dam and see if that mud that was so sticky and glutinous yesterday has managed to either be churned up over the course of the evening or is completely dried up. It was to a point yesterday, it was dry to a point yesterday that an elephant picking up some mud and flinging it over their back with their trunk couldn't even elicit a mud to stick to them. It sort of hit them on the head and then rolled off the side rather than sticking to them. They had to kneel in the mud and headbutt and rub themselves in the mud to get covered with anything decent. I'm gonna have a look. There was one left over. The last herd that was in this particular area numbered probably around about 10 or 12 individuals. And if they'd come through, maybe they'd do a little bit more muddying up. Here we have a herd of Nyala. Let's go forward a little bit, I think. Maybe a slightly better view, maybe. There we go. A herd of female Nyala or Nyala ewes. And just that sunlight on their reddish coats looking absolutely fantastic. They're browsers, very similar to the southern greater kudu that we just were with a few minutes ago. These belong to they belong to a group of antelope called the spiral-horned antelope. The males of these particular Nyala have these twisted horns, not quite as spectacular as the southern greater kudu. Nevertheless, they have a much more striking coat. a conservation success story in that these Nyala were introduced into the Sabi Sands, reintroduced into the Sabi Sands, I should say, and have done incredibly well. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it was in the 90s, in the early 90s somewhere. And since then have proliferated. And they're now one of the most common antelope that we see. In the distance, I'm hearing the song of the southern ground hornbill as well. So that is good news. They're incredibly rare birds. We're looking at only about 1,500 pairs of bird left in the world, and I'm busy listening in the distance, a couple of miles away, probably about a mile or two away from where I am at the moment, way too far for you to hear on these little microphones that we have that basically just capture the sound in and around the car. But they make this beautiful noise, much deeper than that actually, and much better. I'm not good with bird noises. And Joey, all the way from Australia, good afternoon to you, Joey. You've asked me what is my favorite species of hornbill in Africa. Wow, that's an interesting question. I'm actually going to have to show you that. I don't actually have a special, thinking about it, Joey, I don't actually have a special hornbill. But what I will do is I will open up my bird book, go to hornbills. I want to say the trumpets or hornbill. I mean, they're striking, but are they my favorite? No. Yellow-billed hornbill, just because of their charisma, potentially. Crowned hornbill, because I've only really seen one or two of them. No. Southern ground hornbill with their beautiful lashes and the fact that they are so rare. I think I like all hornbills. Let me do that. I like all hornbills. I like the grey hornbill because of their grey colours. They've just got, I'm attracted to the grey colour out here in the bush. The yellow-billed hornbill because of their charisma. The crowned hornbill because of their habitat, living in the dry mupanis, and the fact that I've only seen a handful, probably 3 or 4. The trumpet or hornbill with their very alarming baby-like cry and their size, their giant size. And then the southern ground hornbill with their size, their rarity, their beautiful eyelashes, blood red faces, and that booming call that they have. So all the hornbills, let me say that. I like them all. Alright, I think let's carry on to Bullshoek. These Nyala ewes have shared their breakfast with us. Thank you, ladies. Have a good day. Try not to get eaten by leopard. Leopard, of course, quite capable of taking down a Nyala ewe like you were seeing there. Right size for a leopard. And because they share the same like for the thick bush, quite often we find leopard out here feasting on Nyala. Alrighty. So onward we go to Buffelshoek mud puddle, or what's left of it at least anyway. We might get a little bit of signal shake-up as we go through this dip. Sometimes happens. I'll speed up, make it less painful to watch. Alright, what we can do, rather than watch me speed through here, is send you over to Brent for an update.
Oh, there's a flock of Hadeda ibises calling, making noise and heading off to find something to eat. Oh. Off they go. Okay, so we've decided to come have a little gander on Arathusa. We're going to make our way past Red Dam. With the water there at the moment, it's a really, really popular spot. I've also got a report about a leopard who shall not be named. It might cross into Arathusa, so that's a good reason to sort of diddle-daddle around. Let's go down Parallel Road. Now this is one of Shadow's favourite roads, so who knows, maybe our leopard morning is going to be extremely lucky. So I know a lot of you are I'm going to preempt, are going to be wondering about Shadow's cub and whether it's alive or not, and the answer is we don't know. And that's one of the other reasons I want to have a quick look through this area. Maybe we'll get lucky. Sorry, I'm just listening. So Shadow's being pushed a lot at the moment by Salahesh moving in from the west, and Salahesh's cub Tiani is now over a year old, so probably going to go independent very soon. So she might be moving out of her core part of her territory, leaving that to her female cub, and that's why she's pushing further into Shadow's territory. Thought I heard a hyena very close by. Huh? Thought I just heard a hyena whoop just ahead of us. Well, let's get on top and let's see. It'd be nice to see hyenas. I'm not seeing them too much since they moved their den into the Manyaleti. Judy H was wondering whether any signs of hyena. Well, we just heard one somewhere around here. I don't know how close it was. It was quite difficult to hear over the engine. Now, of course, it could be on the move as well. I mean, there's not a cloud in the sky at the moment. And there's a nice, very beautiful sight. And there's a knobthorn in full bloom. I said today is a wide-angle day. So I'm getting, VM's going to get a nice zoom for you there. You can see the flowers. Now, always a good spot to look for white-bellied sunbirds at the moment. None so far on this tree. Beautiful. So, wide-angle day. So no sign of any tracks yet, but also we're the first person to drive this road this morning. So, and lovely, any tracks we're going to find are fresh and going to let us know what's been happening over the last couple of hours. Now, of course, also, apart from looking for Shadow in this area we often see Tingana in as well, although he does cover such great distances, he could pop up anywhere. Justin would like to know if I had any more cheetah dreams last night. No, I didn't, Justin. I think all dreaming was interrupted by the cacophony of lion noises that went on through the night. Hyena tracks. Now, it's still cool enough that some of the leopards might be on the move. So that's what we're hoping. Mike, it's open lock. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Mike, make your way. It's no problem, even if they are there having a look. Let's just have a look. Make sure, like a nice area like this is an area a leopard might use to move through. See, you've got this natural seep line, and there is still a little underground water. You can see the green on the grass next to us here. So there's a good chance that Impala and other species might be feeding on it. And it's a good spot for a leopard to hunt because there's nice thick bush around it. So always a good place to look for tracks. We're going to keep slowly meandering down Parallel Road, hoping to find any sign of leopards. While we do that, let's go see how Steph's doing back north from Djuma.
Very good, thank you very much. We just bumped into some kudu again. I almost think it's the same herd. Actually, I'm sure it's the same herd because we've just gone around the block basically to see if this male lion hasn't popped up. There you go. Get out of the way and have a look. Beautiful pose there. Thank you. Oh, they're so lovely. Off they go. Nibble here and a nibble there. You can see the thicket that she's in at the moment. Lifting up her head. Look at that. Feeding almost entirely vertical. Don't know what tree that is that they're feeding on. Whatever it is, it's almost too high for them to get. They are ruminants, so they will eat in the morning like this. They'll eat for a couple of hours and then they'll lie down in the ruminating posture to ruminate. So Shamsung, you've just mentioned that the gemsbok or the oryx is a very beautiful antelope. It is indeed a very beautiful antelope. And you wanted to know if we have it here or in our traverse areas. No, Shamsung, very similar to the springbok, the oryx or the desert oryx occurs from the center of the country basically all the way to the west, rather than on the eastern side of the country. And you start to see them pretty much overlapping where the springbok are. So from the center of the country on the highland plateau all the way into the west coast and up into Namibia, you get that fantastically colored desert oryx. So we have a new viewer, and please forgive me if I get this Twitter handle away, but wrong at least anyway. Beginner Plocks, I think, is that it? Beginner Plocks. Just want to say welcome aboard, welcome to the Wild Earth family, welcome to the Wild Earth community and to Safari Live. So good luck, and I hope you stick around for a long time. You've asked me what ruminate means. Ruminate is when an animal chews the cud. So they've eaten some food, stored it in a pouch in the beginning part of their tummies. They then regurgitate that food and chew it smaller. And that is called ruminating, when they're lying down and they are doing this bolus into their mouth, chewing it into a finer substance, mixing it with a bit more saliva, and then swallowing it again. What happens is this ball of basically dried leaves or dried grass is denser than the fluid lighter medium on the top. And as they regurgitate up a piece and they swallow it again, this fluid-filled mass goes over the top basically and into a second pouch, into the main part of the tummy where the digestion of the leaves take place. So if you are close to a farming community, or you've ever seen a cow or a sheep lying on their sides with their head up, that's called the ruminating posture, and it's in that posture that they're regurgitating their grass that they've eaten. I hope that answered your question. And once again, don't stop them coming, keep them coming. Keeps the conversation nice and fresh. Alrighty. Let us carry on down the Buffelshoek cut line, and we are now heading in a westerly direction onto something new and something better. Good morning, Aqua. You are commenting on the color on the inside of a kudu's ear, that pinkish hue, and you'd like to know if that's being caused by insects or it is actually the color. It's actually the color, Aqua. They have got this sort of pinkiness to the inside of their ear, similar to our ears, the inside of the ears. I have no doubt that it is created by some blood vessels lying pretty close to the skin, and it can be exacerbated by ticks. So ticks can go into the ears and they can eat into the layer of skin. But what usually happens then is it gets a bit darker, not just with the ticks, but also with crusted blood scabs. So it loses that pinky hue. But that pinky color that you saw there, that is absolutely the color on the inside of a kudu's ear, and one of its diagnostic features. You can see there's some smoke lying on the horizon. Looks like a big fire somewhere. So Tomcat has just made a comment and says that's exactly what he tells his wife when he's a little bit hungover, is that, honey, I'm ruminating. Tomcat, I hope that works for you, but sure as hell doesn't work for my wife. Well done on getting it right. Have a look at that band across the horizon. This time of the year, and literally for the whole of last season, we didn't have any fires. And that's because we had very low vegetation. But there, if we can see it, there you can see that darker band that's just above the level of the trees. You might have to put your face about as close to the monitor as I've got mine right now to see it. There you can see it. It looks like a cloud, but it isn't. That is smoke from a bushfire on the escarpment. Now, fires at this time of the year are one of the greatest threats that we can have out here. And on a wet year where you've got lots of bush and lots of dried up grass, they call it moribund. It's the combustible material. Fires here can whip through the Sabi sands every couple of days, and I've spent nights beating at fires out here. Last year we didn't have a single fire, and this year so far we haven't had a single fire, and that is because there's just not any combustible material around. It's all been eaten, it's all been taken away. You can have a look inside here. The moribund that you can see is pretty much just the dried leaves that you're seeing. A fire wouldn't go anywhere here. So nothing to burn. But there is definite evidence that there is something to burn a little bit closer to the escarpment. And I'm wiping my brow to say thankfully it couldn't get here. All right, but on that note, I think we're going to send you through to Brent. We're going to try and get into a different area this morning, see if we can find something more to show you, and hopefully he's got something more interesting to tell you.
We've changed our plan completely. We actually just switched off for a second to listen. And unfortunately, there was quite a lot of noise on the radio, but VM heard it clearly. And I'm going to make the noise, and you tell me what animal I'm looking for. Woo, 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 woo. Now, we're not 100% sure. We just caught the end of it. So what animal makes a noise like that? So we've actually backtracked. We've come back to Triple M, and we think that sound was coming from this area. So now I'm looking for tracks. So if you know what animal makes that noise, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email to questions@WildEarth.tv. We're guessing around here. So we're just going to get up to the top where we can see quite a long way down the road. We were over there somewhere when we heard it. Now that is not what we were looking for, but we'll look at them anyway. Calm down, piggies. Hi, Ma. Okay, I'm just keeping quiet so I can listen again. Lovely little sounder of warthog. A female with her adult female offspring. You can hear a lilac-breasted roller. You can hear